Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Tasmania's 29 councils have voted unanimously to fight back against a tax loophole that threatens to blow a black hole in local government budgets across the state. A recent court decision means some property owners are exempt from paying rates, leaving the burden to other residents to make up the shortfall.
29 councils voting as one, today escalating concerns about a legal loophole which could increase bills for ratepayers across the state.
It's really just about ensuring an equitable outcome that doesn't push the rates burden out onto other people.
Last year, residents in some independent living units were exempt from paying rates because the land they live on is owned and occupied by a charitable organisation. Some councils forced to make up for the unexpected shortfall, potentially through budget blowouts, rate rises for other residents or a reduction in spending. A council committee now established to advocate for changes to the law.
We've had early conversations with the government and they've indicated they're willing to listen and be open to an amendment, but we haven't progressed to the stage of what that might look like.
A local government association meeting also unanimously deciding to sign all councils up to the National Redress Scheme.
It provides some certainty for victims, it provides support services and it enables councils to deal with any issues arising in a very considered way.
And the introduction of regional councils could be on the horizon, responsible for region-wide service delivery and made up of separate council representatives.
A regional council would represent the strongest collaboration model that does not involve amalgamation.
There is room for smaller councils in their effort to remain viable to seriously consider how they might better perform if combined with other councils.
A directions paper for the future of councils today opened for public submissions. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
A second Tasmanian school has closed its doors for the day, citing health and safety concerns as cleaners remain on strike. The protest is part of a year-long fight between the government and public sector for better paying conditions. Wynyard High School closing today, the treasurer forced to bring in contract cleaners as staff refused to carry out their duties, not ruling out standing down workers without pay.
We have a duty to ensure that our schools are clean and fit for purpose. We have a duty to ensure that our school children can go to school without being concerned about their health.
Wynyard High School will be open for students tomorrow. The General Manager of the Derwent Valley Council, Greg Winton, has stepped down in the wake of a controversial bird cull. Part of Tinwood Park at New Norfolk has been cordoned off, where baits were deployed to kill feral geese. The poison is also suspected to have killed ducks and plovers in the area. Despite an initial plan to relocate the feral geese, an investigation will now examine how that turned into the decision to destroy them. The housing squeeze is getting tighter in Hobart, with new figures showing the cost of rent is still going up. Median rent in Hobart is now $457 per week, up 0.4% from last month, according to the latest CoreLogic report. That figure puts Hobart on par with Melbourne and Darwin, while being more expensive than Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth. Nationally, median rent was unchanged, although Canberra recorded a sharp decline. There's renewed hope for the future of Tasmania's critically endangered orange-bellied parrot. A captive breeding facility is now in operation with the aim of boosting the chances of survival for the threatened species.
The rare sight of one of Australia's most threatened creatures. These orange-bellied parrots are in captivity, but they're boosting the survival chances of the species in the wild.
We aim to have 48 breeding pairs, which is a doubling of our previous breeding capacity. Our previous facility was at its end of life.
A $2.5 million captive breeding facility has just opened at 5 Mile Beach, containing 96 pens. Currently, 220 birds are living here, compared with Tasmania's wild population, which is thought to be around 20.
We're not entirely sure of all of the reasons why the decline has occurred. It's certainly been marked in the last 2 decades in particular.
Staff here are trying to get the birds to pair up and breed, which can mean an anxious wait, looking for signs of courtship.
They start hanging out together, sitting on the same perch. There will be courtship feeding, so when the male feeds the female, so that's an important step in orange-bellied parrot breeding.
Wildlife workers are preparing to release 48 adult parrots in Tasmania's wild southwest in spring, boosting numbers in the lead up to the summer breeding season.
It's helping. They still breed well down at Melaleuca, but yeah, the captive population is at this stage critical.
This new facility hoping to more than double breeding capacity, giving a boost to the critically endangered species. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmanian News.
The government is being accused of neglecting the next generation of Tasmanian farm workers, with Fruit Growers Tasmania saying many are left waiting months to receive the training they need to start work. The government has rubbished the claims, but some in the industry say a solution is needed now.
It's an industry worth millions to the Tasmanian economy, but those at the forefront say more should be done to ensure its future.
Tasmania's economy, it's the apple isle, for goodness sake. It still is a horticultural island. Yes, tourism is strong, but agriculture is the backbone and underpins so much.
The Fruit Growers Tasmania president says the current TAFE training system for farm workers is broken, leaving many in the industry struggling to recruit younger workers with the right skills.
A lot of our seasonal workers are sort of getting a little bit older. We get a lot of people come back from year to year, and so they're getting older now.
Labor today using the opportunity to push its idea of a new consolidated TAFE training package, a 12-day course covering 8 essential skills, including first aid and forklift operations.
We've listened to industry. They've put forward a really good idea which we're backing into the hilt, and that is to provide a short, sharp training package so that workers who want to work on farms have the skills that they need.
But the government today rubbished claims it's not doing enough to support the industry's next generation.
This budget invests into intergenerational assets, and there is no better example than that, than the investment into our dams and irrigation schemes. We have put additional funding into TasTAFE this year as well in terms of those critical areas of the economy that need support.
Jessie Gilmore, 7 Tasmania News.
A Hobart pub has become one of the first in the state to provide specialised menus for visually impaired Tasmanians, with one regular patron saying it's a step towards feeling more included within the community.
Vaughan Bennison has been blind all his life. Despite vital assistance from his guide dog Phoebe, there are some things even she can't help with. He says he relies on other people reading him a menu when out for a meal.
We don't have quite the same level of access to the menu as a sighted person does, so we can't just glance through the menu and say, that looks really good, I want to find out more information. We've got to hear the whole thing, and you know, that can be quite time consuming and interfere with one's enjoyment of going out for a nice meal.
He's a regular at Hotel Soho, but now he'll be able to touch his way through a Braille menu. It's part of a new initiative launched today, with the restaurant partnering with service organisation Visibility Tasmania.
A lot of people don't want to admit that they have a low vision, which is understandable, and so having to ask somebody to read the menu to you, it does take away that independence.
We've had a small community or family come in quite regularly, and I guess, helping them all the time. The initiative behind us creating this menu was to offer an inclusive environment.
The new menus are formatted in Braille and large print for all sight abilities, with social inclusion at the centre of the initiative.
There's so many things that sighted people and people who can read standard printed material take for granted that blind people simply don't have access to. And when initiatives like this come along, it's certainly, is a big step towards including these people in their communities.
Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
It's been over a month since Salamanca markets banned plastic bags, and nearly 60 stallholders have donated their excess rubbish to help create 2 sustainable bench seats on the lawns. Around 55 kilograms of recycled plastic was collected by the council in a bid to tackle landfill waste.
This bench is actually a symbol of what we're doing in Hobart. Well, we have to start a system to collect back plastic. We can't continue to just produce it and have no use for it.
The seats were created by plastics recycler Replas Tasmania.
Both the men's and women's Hobart Huskies sides say they're back in the picture after last weekend's wins over Melbourne. The same can't be said for the Launceston Tornadoes, still struggling to taste victory in a lacklustre season.
The Tornadoes coach still talks tough despite a 7-game losing streak.
We know we can compete with any team. We just got to be able to put the quarters together. We've shown that in every game this year.
The Tawns were on track to break the drought last Friday against Melbourne, but their slim half-time lead quickly evaporated. At a school clinic today, Derek Washington wasn't shedding any tears, instead focusing on Saturday's fight with Kilsyth. And they'll be up against a familiar face, former Tawn star Lauren Nicholson. The Northwest Thunder still has finals glory in its sights, following a narrow victory over Melbourne. Coach Sam Armstrong was full of praise for Kai Woodfall after his miraculous three-pointer as the buzzer loomed sent the game into overtime.
Three-point attempt, here it is!
There was times late in the game when we didn't think we were still in contention, but look, he sort of carried us on his shoulders.
They'll play Kilsyth this Saturday, as will both sides of the Huskies, looking to climb the ladder following wins over Melbourne.
I guess a couple of weeks ago we probably weren't even thinking about the 8, we were just thinking about trying to get to 50%, but now with the results the way they are over the past couple of weeks, we're in with the shows.
Well, Kilsyth I think are in the top 5 or 6, so that's going to be a tough game. Ballarat's probably around where we are, so both winnable games.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. Generally a fine day across the state with light winds, temperatures around or just above average. Hobart and Launceston 15, which was the state's high, Burnie 13 and Devonport 14 degrees. The overnight low was -2 at Lake Leak, Fingal and Mount Wellington. Strawn, Friendly Beaches, St Helens and King Island 14, Lowhead, Grove and Flinders Island 13, Ouse 12 and Lyawini 6. Some low-level cloud over the south and west of the state, mostly clear skies over the rest of Tasmania. Now, most of the mainland clear of cloud cover as well. Some coastal low cloud stretches from Victoria to Queensland. A cold front is generating more as it moves towards Western Australia. Tomorrow, the large high extends ridges far and wide ahead of the cold front, which runs along that Western Australian coast. The pair of troughs continue up north as well. A rare easterly aspect to the winds tomorrow at 15 knots over northern waters. However, most of the state will have variable winds at 5 to 15 knots and swells to 3 metres. 14 degrees for Hobart and partly cloudy, 14 also for Cygnet, partly cloudy for New Norfolk, 2 overnight, 13 tomorrow. 14 the high for Launceston after morning fog and frost, 13 the top for Devonport and also Campbelltown after a chilly start. Burnie tomorrow, mostly sunny and 13. Sunny also for Strawn, 13 degrees, 13 as well for Smithton. And for St Helens, partly cloudy and 14. Same for Swansea, Fingal. Fog and frost to start the day, a -2, 13 the top. On Friday, showers over the north, fine elsewhere after widespread frost. Showers over the north on Saturday, easing in the afternoon, a sunny 15 in Hobart. And on Sunday, showers over the north and northwest, fine for the remainder before a late shower over the east. Now, the cold front will bring heavy falls and storms to Perth tomorrow. Sunny though in Adelaide, partly cloudy in Melbourne and 15 degrees. A few showers for Sydney and Brisbane. Partly cloudy in Hobart at the moment, 8. 7 in Launceston and clear in Devonport and 7 degrees. That's the weather, Joe. I hope you took notice.
Always take notice of you, Murph. Wouldn't dare not. That's all from the news team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.